Critics have had overall nice things to say about Mario Strikers Battle League, the brand new Mario Strikers title 15 years after the last entry. However, fans are absolutely disgraced with the title and are absolutely despising it and hating on it in every single way possible. So why has this happened? Hey beautiful humans, it's RidersDX, and today we're going to talk about Mario Strikers Battle League. A really exciting title because it is the first game in 15 years and it's been a highly anticipated combat for Mario Strikers because people loved it so much. It's definitely one of the most beloved Mario sports games. And so why are people so upset about this game? That is the question here. But I just want y'all to think about how strange this scenario is, because this is a scenario where the critics love the game but the fans hate it, and that's usually like not the case at all. So when it comes to critics and fans, we typically see two things. One, critics love a game and fans echo that support and everything is all roses and daisies in the world, and you know what? And world peace has been obtained. Or two, critics aren't as positive about a title and fans flood the internet with positivity about the game to shift the narrative. This happens so often. Sometimes a game is just not that great, but fans are really supportive of it, and so they want to do everything they can to make sure that people know that this is a great game. But this scenario is just so rare and so interesting. The Metacritic score from critics is a solid 74, while the fan score sits at a 4.1 out of 10. And so what has happened? What is it about this game that's making fans so heated about it? So I will say, while the critics have been overall pretty positive about it, it's not without some criticism, and I think exploring these criticisms will explain as to what the fans are actually really upset about. Area Jugon says, the content is a bit scarce on release, but gameplay wise is magnificent. Mario Strikers Battle League Football is definitely the best game in the series, and I believe it has the potential to become one of the top arcade competitive sports games. At the same time, it also has great potential as a game to play amongst family and friends. Dexerto says, if you're looking for a football game that doesn't take itself too seriously, with more than enough of that zany Nintendo charm to delight, you really can't go wrong with Mario Strikers Battle League. It's an excellent multiplayer game if you can forgive the lack of content to keep you invested, but it's sure to be a summer hit for footy fans. Atomic says, thanks to fantastic gameplay and presentation by Next Level Games, Mario Strikers Battle League is the installment that fans have been waiting for 15 years. However, a lack of content and an online mode that needs improvement hampered the experience. So while the critics did find the base game to be fun, they also criticized the lack of content in the title. And as for the fans, well, I think you know where this is going. Bigger Chungus said, remember when Nintendo actually put thought and effort into the games and didn't sell the Steam early access tier shit? Yeah, that time is long gone now. I'm not exaggerating when I say the demo for the game gives you the exact same experience as the full game. You experience the whole thing within about an hour. Insane. Wes10 says, the advertising for this game was purposely deceitful to give the appearance one could play Vor vs. Vor online with their friends, which, surprise, you cannot do. Other than that, the game is wildly mediocre, so it doesn't even have that going for it to make up for the obfuscated online configurations. Befelfc00 says, I am very disappointed with this game. They made it a lot less enjoyable than the game for the Wii. Less characters, no specialized abilities for team captains. I bought this game to hopes for a completed game, but it is just disappointing. I hope they turn it around with DLC, but as of right now, do not buy this game. And DJ Keep says, there's no game here. It's a half-baked soccer idea at best. You can't follow anything happening on the screen, you can't control the goalie, the AI spikes all over the place, the tutorial is literally garbage. The tutorial doesn't even make sense in a few places. I've never felt ripped off by a Mario title, ever. I guess it's the first time for everything. This title is horrible. And so that's definitely a mouthful to take in. A lot of fans just aren't happy with the lack of content. And so you're probably wondering, well, and so if you're not a huge Nintendo fan, have been following like everything they've been doing the past couple years, you might be wondering what's with this huge reaction. I mean, it is a sports game after all, and so sports games generally don't have that much content in the first place. And it's not like the Mario Strikers games are known for the massive amounts of content. And so to really understand where fans are coming from, you need to think about what Nintendo has been releasing in the past couple years, especially when it comes to sports games. And so two sports games that come into mind in the Mario series include Mario Golf Super Rush and Mario Tennis Aces. So these two games are what we would call like underbaked experience when they first came out, because when they came out, sure, they were solid experiences and they had all the appropriate mechanics and such. However, there wasn't as many playable characters per se, there wasn't as many like fields to play on and such, and this was stuff that slowly got added on with DLC later on in the game's lifetime. And thus, that seems like a really cool thing, right? It's like, okay, Nintendo's adding free content to the game afterwards, and so that's great, when that's not actually the case. So what Nintendo actually does is that they basically either release games that are not finished with all the intended content, or they do finish the games but they hold back content so that they can release it at a later date in an attempt to keep interest of the game continuous throughout its entire lifespan. And so this seems like a really smart idea. I mean, release games that might not have a lot of content, but release that other content later on and make it seem like you're giving people free content and just making the package that much worthwhile. But unfortunately, because of what they're doing, the packages that are being brought for $60 when they're first released are not worthwhile. They're not $60 games and they don't deserve to be priced that high. And so Nintendo fans have been catching on to this practice of becoming extremely upset with it as each game releases. I mean, the most recent example we have of this is Nintendo Switch Sports, which released from not only just 5 games, which is a lot less than the last Wii Sports game, but they already announced that there's going to be DLC for the game, which includes a new sport that should have been included with the original game, and also a mode that makes use of an accessory that the game comes with, which is kind of crazy because the whole purpose of the accessory is not even fully realized when the game is released. And so people are extremely upset with Nintendo Switch Sports with the way that rollout happened. And Mario Strikers, I think people are just really upset about it at this point because, you know, Mario Tennis Aces and Mario Golf Super Rush, I mean, there are fun games that they definitely have their fan bases, but I would say that Mario Strikers definitely is a step above in terms of its fan base because it's just such a different Mario experience compared to all other sports games. You know, Mario Tennis and Mario Golf, they all seem like, you know, the same sports, just some Mario characters and some worlds added into it. But Mario Strikers really felt like its own thing, you know? It takes soccer, that plain old sport, and makes it extreme and really puts Mario in this like atmosphere and aesthetic that we don't see with any other Mario game. And so as a result, Mario Strikers just has such a huge fan base for it because it really just pulls Mario into this different environment that we don't see Mario in otherwise. And so to see that game, especially the first one in 15 years, get the same treatment as these other games, it really is upsetting to fans, and I think it's definitely starting to get really widespread in terms of Nintendo community because, you know, Mario Tennis and Mario Golf, they were big games but like not the hugest games, so it didn't really like make a huge impact in terms of what they were doing. But with Nintendo Switch Sports, which was like the long-awaited return of the Wii Sports series, and Mario Strikers, the long-awaited return of the Mario Strikers series, people are starting to see this pattern and they're not happy about it. And so I have a feeling as we keep seeing more of these like spin-off titles get released and the same strategy get implemented, these review scores will just get even more consistent and a narrative will continue to spread. And who knows, it may actually impact Nintendo as a company, it may impact their sales, it may impact like so many other things coming in the future, which would be unfortunate because if Nintendo were to say, oh, this game is not really making that much of a profit anymore, we shouldn't really make it, then that would be really unfortunate because people aren't buying it because you're not releasing a high quality game from the get-go. You're releasing like part of a high quality game and just releasing bits and pieces of the rest of it later on, which is just like terrible because I don't want to feel like I bought like a half-baked product for a full $60 retail price. Like that would just make me feel really insulted. And unfortunately, that's kind of what I felt like when I bought Mario Strikers. And so yes, I did buy Mario Strikers because my poor nostalgic heart couldn't take it. I really just want to try it out, especially it being the first game in 15 years. And while it does like contain that same experience that Mario Strikers has always given me, it definitely feels like a half-baked version of what I enjoyed as a child. I mean, all the characters, you know, they look good, but they don't look nearly as intense as they did in the Wii version. The fields don't look that exciting compared to the original, and there's just 10 characters, and there's not really that much content elsewhere. I mean, I basically need to have friends all the time to play this game, which is a very big no-no at the moment. Yeah, I'm just not gonna talk about that. But anyway, Mario Strikers Battle League just felt like it deserved more. A franchise that gained such a reputation and gained such a fan base really deserved more, in my opinion, because Mario Strikers Battle League really should have been this like huge triumphant return for the series, but instead it's being bogged down by just like a lack of effort being put into it in an effort to maximize their profits per se and really increase the game's longevity, which it's so transparent at this point. Like you really can't tell Nintendo is just doing this just to make like the most money possible, and it just really leaves a sour taste in the consumer's mouth because this is not great for consumers for them to have to buy these games at like the half-baked state that they're put in, only to wait like months later for the content to be updated. And I don't even want to talk about the fact that it might not be possible to update the content of this game in the future when the Nintendo Switch eventually goes defunct, and so that's not even touching upon that aspect. It really is just unfortunate that these games aren't fully like supported with like everything they should be getting upon release. Like they're just being pushed out there, you know, in a state that they really shouldn't be pushed out in, and just like leeching the money out of people that don't know any better basically. And so it is frustrating frustrating, and you can definitely see the fandom really start to catch on to it and get really upset with it. And so I just hope that Nintendo just realizes that this is not a great long-term strategy. I think it works well in the short term because obviously they sell more games that way and they're able to get people to stay interested in the games afterwards. However, as people continue to catch on to this, fans will be turned off by these titles in the future. So unless it's like a big like Mario or Zelda title, people aren't going to trust Nintendo to release these like fully stacked high quality titles that they used to be known for. Now Nintendo is being like known as cheapskates basically. That sure, they're making like solid games, but they really aren't worthwhile for the price tag. So it's just unfortunate, and it really is trying to dig a nail into Nintendo's coffin that seems so impenetrable for the longest time, especially in terms of game quality. I mean, you can call Nintendo like a really scummy company in terms of other things, but you could never ever question the quality of their games. And now we're getting to that point where we can, and that just sucks. It really does suck. Nintendo should not be the company that's having these issues. Nintendo's supposed to be the company that stays away from things like this. We had that type reserved for so many other companies like Electronic Arts, for instance, and just, I don't know. There's so many companies that engage in these terrible practices, and it's really sad to see Nintendo become a part of it. So, I don't know what else to say at this point. I just hope that Mario Strikers eventually becomes a worthwhile experience that's worthy of its price tag, but right now it isn't. It's just a fun game that you can play every now and then. That's about it. So, we'll just have to wait and see what happens in the future, but I am kind of fearful for what other spin-off titles will do in terms of their treatment in the future if Nintendo continues to do this. So we'll just have to wait and find out, but definitely let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Are you a fan of Mario Strikers Battle League? Are you not? Let me know why or why not. Let me know if you agree more with the critics or you agree more with the fans in this case. And so yeah, special shout out to Team Rival Sonic Gamer, Trash Q, and Claw84. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for being my patrons, and just yeah, thank you all so much for watching. This is Riders, riding out.